The title of this recording is Ezekiel's Wheel. I hope to clear up some uh, discrepancies or erroneous concepts having to do with this subject matter. As far as I know, I'm probably the only one that will be talking about this thing in this light. But for those of you who don't know the verses, I guess I'm forced to read the whole first chapter of Ezekiel's, I don't know, Testament in the Old Testament. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. On the 5th day of the month, which was in the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was upon him there. Then I looked, and behold, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire engulfing itself, and brightness was all around it, and radiating out of its dust like the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also from within it came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Each one had 4 faces. Each one had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of calves' feet. They sparkled like the color of burnished bronze. The hands of a man were under their wings on their 4 sides, and each of the 4 had faces and wings. Their wings touched one another. The creatures did not turn when they went, but each one went straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, each had the face of a man. Each of the 4 had the face of a lion. On the right side, each of the 4 had the face of an ox. On the left side, each of the 4 had the face of an eagle. Doesn't say what side it is on. Thus were their faces. Their wings stretched upward, 2 wings of each 100. One touched one another, and 2 covered their bodies, and each one went straight forward. They went whenever the Spirit wanted to go, and they did not turn when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches going back and forth among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and out of the fire went lightning. And the living creatures ran back and forth in appearance like a flash of lightning. Now, as I looked at the living creatures, behold, a wheel was on the earth beside each living creature, with its 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their workings was like the color of beryl, and all had the same likeness. The appearance of their workings was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Notice, and the appearance of their workings was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel, something like a ball bearing. When they moved, they went forward. They went toward any one of 4 directions. They did not turn aside when they went. And as for their rims, they were so high, they were awesome, and their rims were full of eyes all around the 4 of them. When the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Wherever the Spirit wanted to go, they went, because there the Spirit went, and the wheels were lifted together with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up together with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. The likeness of the firmament above the heads of the living creatures was like the color of an awesome crystal stretched out over their heads. And under the firmament their wings spread out straight, one toward another. Each one had 2 which covered one side. Each one had 2 which covered the other side of the body. When they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of many colors, like the voice of the Almighty. By the way, the word Almighty here is the word El Shaddai. A tumult like the noise of an army, and when they stood still, they let down their wings. A voice came from above the firmament that was over their heads. Whenever they stood, they let down their wings. And above the firmament over their heads was the likeness of a throne, in appearance like a sapphire stone. On the likeness of the throne was a likeness and the appearance of a man above it. Also, from the appearance of his waist and upward, I saw, as it were, the color of amber, and the appearance of fire all around within it. And from the appearance of his waist and downward, I saw, as it were, the appearance of fire and brightness all around. Like the appearance of a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day, so was the appearance of the brightness all around it. See, I went through some slur there about the Rainbow Coalition. Ha ha ha. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. So when I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard a voice one speaking. Okay, well, this a lot of information here. A lot of it I may or may not understand, or maybe it doesn't matter if I understand, or whether you understand it. The wheel within the wheel. What is the wheel within the wheel? Well, could it actually be a wheel itself, or a flying saucer? Yeah, well, maybe. Or maybe the spirit that's within the wheel that causes the wheel to turn, which is the wheel within the wheel that makes it turn in the first place, the engine, as it were, is the two tribes of Israel, which has to do with Levi and Judah. They're the ruling class amongst the Jewish community, or the Israeli or Jewish nation on that. Levi, of course, is the priesthood, and then, of course, you have the king line through Judah. Now, of course, the king has, all his authority, but he still is subservient to the Levites, which is the priesthood. Pretty much like it is still in this country here. We have a president, howbeit a king on that. He in turn answers to the Masons, spiritual order of witches and the like on that. They're behind the operation here in the United States. So very simply, the inner wheel is the two tribes, Levi and Judah, priest and king, and the outer wheel are the remaining 10 wheels, or the remaining 10 tribes, I mean, and whatever the names are, whatever the 10 tribes are, the remaining 10 tribes, and wherever they go, and then the four faces. Well, of course, there's been other studies done by this. I get the Seventh-day Adventists have a study on it, and so on. I think the man is a reference to the ministry of men that have come about here in the last 100 years. The evangelist group thing. The lion would probably be the first time that the gospel got preached during the Pentecost. The lion. Just guys like Peter and so on that were very timid and afraid were able to speak up and say their piece and about Jesus and so on. And then what do you have? You have the eagle. Eagle's usually a reference to the priesthood and what period of time that they came about. Not quite sure. And then of course there's the ox. The ox is a reference to the probably Dark Ages, where the Spirit of God wasn't moving very greatly, and we were like the ox that did all the hard work, perhaps, and going towards the slaughter, and so on and so forth. I'm sure that I can get clarifications about that later on from other people who have already written about it. But that's the main thrust of the Ezekiel wheel, without being too early verbose.